family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network. Start the show. CTR Media Network.
Welcome to CTR Media Network TV. Today's guests are not only powerhouse entrepreneurs, they're also parents to 9 children, educators, and the creator of the Parent Their Passion Method, a revolutionary approach to raising market-ready teens. Jonathan and Renee Harris went from the farmer's market booth to a thriving 6-figure e-commerce skincare business, all while homeschooling and instilling business savviness into their children. Their handcrafted skincare line, designed for dry and sensitive skin, is a lifesaver for travelers, health-conscious families, and allergy sufferers. Get ready to discover how you, too, can build a family legacy, turn hobbies into income, and parent with entrepreneurial purpose. Let's welcome to the show the dynamic duo, Jonathan and Renee Harris. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Hi, good morning.
Problem. Yes, I am so happy to have you guys here because all too often we have either the wife or the husband. Not ever together, the husband and wife. So it's a beautiful thing to see that you guys are together doing business, and you guys are at my heart because you also are homeschoolers, just like myself, just raising my children. And then, well, my baby just graduated last year. So that's a whole different phase for me. But I'm just so excited to have you here on the show to share what you guys do. So first up, tell us about your family, your life, and a little bit about your business as we get started, because I mean, you have 9 kids, but you look like you get a whole lot of sleep. So tell me what's your secret. I'm waiting.
Well, they didn't all come out at once, so there's that. And actually right now we only have 3 at home and 6 have graduated out and are on their own. So it's different when you're down to 3. It does feel like you've got a lot more time on your hands in some ways, but we're still navigating the other 6 at times. But yeah, so we are at a point now where we still have a few at home, but the ones that we have graduated out, we figured out kind of early on in our homeschooling. We've been homeschooling from the beginning. So since the time the kids were little, about once they hit around 10 or 12 is when we made a big switch in the way we were homeschooling. And we decided to take advantage of the fact that we were entrepreneurs and then merge those together to make more what we feel successful kids out of it.
I love it. I love it. So that merge, what was that moment where you said, okay, I'm homeschooling and now we have these businesses or this business and it's supporting our homeschooling journey and our whole entire family. What made you say that you was going to merge it together? What was that aha moment? Because many people keep it separated. So what made you bring it together?
Yeah, we felt that when we were seeing the potential in our kids and realized the track that they were going on was going to be very similar to our own track at that age. And we actually had relatively good experiences with traditional schooling. And then later on, we went to college. So it wasn't negative. However, looking back on it, we realized that it really wasn't, the education wasn't supporting us individually as to where our real passion and our real skills were. So you wind up in careers that might be okay, but it's not really the road had we gone back in time. It's not the road that we would have wanted to be on. And we realized we had an opportunity to change that with our own children. So we switched things around where we made our curriculum, and what is a little bit different too is our own, the fact that we were working from home, we used our small little home business as an opportunity for our kids to learn some of the traditional things using our tools and also developing their own things. So we really turned this into sort of an incubation center for our kids.
And it was kind of like a big pivot, because before we started a family, or, just a very small home-based business, it was more of the traditional, Dad was working in a tech company. I was raising the kids, homeschooling them at home. And then we started a little farmers market booth. And it wasn't even like we were trying to make a bunch of money off the farmers market booth. We almost saw it more as, oh, this looks like fun. Let's go try it. And then I had my 8 and 10-year-old boys at the time with me selling it. And then it wasn't until a couple of years later, we decided, okay, we're going to do this full time as a family business, which means there's going to be a lot of budget crunching, because if you don't have the main income anymore and you're going to make this become the family income, there are a lot of no's you have to do. Like, no, you have to say no to the kids on different activities, things they want to do, things that came easy for them. All of a sudden it's like, you know what, you guys are going to help us with this. So that's when we decided, actually, Jonathan really noticed that now that he was around the kids, saw what they were doing during the day. It's like, well, why not use some of their own interests and what they're good at, see where we can pull in those skill sets, develop those, and then they'll help us out with the business, so that we're not all running different directions trying to do our own thing. So starting with a kid, our oldest, who was a little bit into photography, making little videos, kind of more neighborhood video type stuff, became, I need someone to product shots of our skincare products, because by then, after the farmers market, we decided to take it online and sell it as an e-commerce site. So he helped out with that, but then he had to learn how to do that. And that was kind of our first aha moment of, oh, the kids can develop this a lot better.
Yeah. And to be clear, it's like why it worked so well for us, that these things made a difference after they left our home, why it really had an impact, is because we weren't trying to force them into, some kind of category of skill that they weren't interested in. We noticed. So each of our kids are very different from each other, and they'll tell you that. So we know. So when she talks about the one son who was interested in photography, he was already on his own, just tinkering around, having fun, like a little hobby. And it wasn't very serious. But we said, hey, you're already into this. Why don't you help us out? And so we did this for quite a few of our children, where there's always an aspect of what you're doing in your business. So none of them do what we are doing. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose was giving them a chance to start exercising something useful. And then they quickly pivoted out of the family because they had something to offer, in the neighborhood and in the businesses surrounding us.
I love it, because for the simple fact, you guys was very observant, seeing what your children was naturally doing, and then seeing how that could fit with what you're doing with your business. So it wouldn't be a push like, oh, mom, oh, dad, I don't want to do that. Well, okay, well, I'm already doing this, so let me help with that. And so would you say that they help build certain skills in them working with the family on the family business that they would not have gotten outside of that?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could, you could have them sign up for classes and so on. It's not relevant, though, until they can actually do it again and again and realize that it's valuable to somebody. So, you can have kids learn a skill on their own, like welding or something. And until it becomes something valuable, we in our space of having a business had plenty of opportunities for them to use their skill set. So within that, like we have one kid that was, he could play video games all day long. And we said, well, if you want to play video games, you got to do something more than that. And we noticed eventually he saw it too, that he really liked to code and do more coding and development. Well, once they have that just tiny micro skills with that, and then, this is kind of fast forward a year in, I need help with my Shopify site, and I can go to him and say, can you figure some of these things out? It's not that he's an expert at Shopify per se, but he knows how to find and locate the things that can do troubleshooting. It's like a skill set of troubleshooting within coding or web development, or, things that are going to help fix things. And then that became over the years. And this is not just like, oh, this is all of a sudden he's blossomed within 6 months. No, this is within a period of time where all these little things that we need his help with, he can jump in and actually do the help. And then he becomes more valuable, not just to us, but then we have friends who have websites who need his help because they know he can do it. So then all of a sudden, those little skill sets that they develop, they realize, oh, I can get paid for it and I love doing it. Okay. So as that has progressed with our now 6 kids, they each have a different skill set that they were able to go off and graduate and then take to the marketplace. Some working for other people at first. And then others, they decided, nope, I really like the self-employment thing. I like being my own boss. And then that's what they became. So it was just starting using the business as a way for them to identify those skill sets and talents that they liked, and then just give them, and then using your homeschooling to pour into that. So
yeah. So I'm as I'm looking at you on the camera, you obviously have a studio set up. So one of the first things that comes to mind is that if I had a child, well, we still do, we have children that have the access to a studio like you, and let's say they're doing homeschooling and they're doing history. One of the things you can quickly have them do is say, instead of you just reading it and writing down a piece of paper, I want you to turn on the video camera and I want you to summarize what you just learned in your history lesson, right? So right there, even though they may have no interest in a video camera and a studio, by combining 2 very different things, right, learning how to use the camera, looking good on the screen, and their history lesson, which is not even a marketable skill at this point, right away you have something more powerful.
Awesome.
So we really leverage the tools that we had.
Yeah.
So it depends. That's what's really exciting as a parent, is that the limitations that you have in your environment, whether it be cash or tools, kind of helps you find the way, because a lot of times people wait, when they're 18 or when they're after college, they'll find their thing. Well, yeah, they might eventually, but what happens if they could find it so much sooner? It becomes a lot easier. Life becomes a lot easier for them when they can do that. And a lot of times it starts in the home, where you put them to work doing things that they instinctively like, but they maybe don't understand it. And they really get to wrestle with the camera, the lighting, the length of it, what they're saying. They feel embarrassed about how they talk, so then they talk better next time. Those are the things that we really encourage them to do.
Now you make me want to have another child just to do this. Like this, I'm like, oh, I missed the opportunity. Ooh, that's a good curriculum. But anyway, when I think about you guys are known for your concept, which is called Parent Their Passion. So would you say that's how you started your Parent the Concept, or Parent the Passion concept?
Yeah, you're looking for what they are passionate about, and it's one of those things that they don't always know. So you're giving them the opportunity, the environment to just test things out. And then you become a coach with them just as much as you are a parent. It's that fine line of all of the stuff you can teach them when they're young are just amazing skills that, as an employee or a self-employed person later, all those skill sets are starting early. So you're you're developing their passion. You see, like, okay, he's really interested in this. We have this kind of schoolwork that we need to get done. Can we somehow merge those together so that they're enjoying what they're learning? And then a lot of time is spent getting better at the passion, and which also emerges, it changes over time. It's not like we saw an 8-year-old, oh, you're going to be a future photographer, we're going to steer you into that. It's not like that. It ends up merging and flowing in different directions. And then a lot of skill stacking. So they get good at one thing. They kind of say, oh, over here, like our photographer guy, he was interested. He was good at that. He also liked video editing. Then he got his hands on a drone, and that just opened up his whole new world of doing drone photography and media and that kind of thing. So then he went that direction. And so by the time he was done, he was making money. By the time he was 17, he was able to easily move out when he was 18 and then develop something on his own that he's doing really well at now. So it's those, when they're young, you're starting to, and yeah, we had 9 kids, so we could experiment quite a bit. And we have, how young can you start, and sometimes it's too young and you're just doing too much managing, but really 12 is such a sweet spot where they've got all of this energy. They want to feel good about themselves. They're trying to figure out who they are. And as a parent, you're helping them along the way with that. And then they see, well, if they have an older sibling, they're like, well, he's good at that. What am I going to be good at? So they're thinking about that. And then if they have younger siblings, they're becoming that person that the younger ones can look up to, which is it works out great inside the family too. So yeah, you're parenting their passion. And then as they get better and better at something, they're known for that. Oh yeah, he's the drone guy. He's the video editor guy. He's we do have one that's really good he was a bladesmith and now he's a machine. We know he's good at that. We have an artist, she's great at graphic art. So they become almost titled by what they're good at, which is what we say is like their passion and their talent. And then it just kind of grows from there, so that by the time they're 16, they have a lot figured out. And that's not the skill sets we have to learn and then teach them. We're just there to kind of guide them and show them the way, or, hey, have you tried this? Or who do you think are mentors in that niche that you could follow? If you need a course, let us know. You go do the research and you tell us what you should be looking at and studying. And then you kind of vet it and see from an adult's point of view, if it's good for you or not.
I love it, because that is one thing that I absolutely love about homeschooling. Now, I would admit, I did not start with homeschooling first. I pulled my kids out 2nd and 4th grade because I actually educated. I was an educator in public school. So the shift from public school to homeschool, what I did the first year was that I mimicked everything. I pretty much brought public school home. That was the biggest mistake of my life. Okay? The biggest mistake of my life. And I tell people every time, do not copy that model. You left that model. Yeah. Use that opportunity to be able to be more flexible. And it gives you the opportunity to be able to find yourself as an educator, because I found a lot of things that I didn't know about myself within the midst of teaching my children.
Yeah.
And also it allows us to be able to cultivate, like you said, those little interests that they have, because you never know when something is going to stick. But right. You have the opportunity when you're homeschooled to nurture that. And so I'm hearing that consistently throughout all of your children. And you're right, 12 is that beautiful space where they're not in that, oh, I don't need mom and dad phase yet. They get into it, but they still looking to you for some direction. And they're like, okay, I want to find myself, but what do I want to do? And so it's a beautiful age right before they get the good old teen behind the name. 13. Yeah. When I'm like, as soon as you get a teen behind your name, your mind kind of shifts just a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You totally nailed it. That's exactly right. And I'm thinking as you're telling me this, I remember this one of our sons who's self-employed. He's doing very well. He's 23 now. Is that right?
Is that Nicholas?
No.
Yeah, we forget.
Yeah, we have to coordinate the names. Yeah. No, Caleb.
Oh, no,
he's 25. Okay. So an example is like at that time, we went to there's a local in our area, because historically of where we live, there are a lot of old mining ventures and stuff that have been from the gold rush days. Long story short, there's a very old club, Gem and Mineral Club, with lots of tools that people donate over the years, and lots of older guys who have a lot of experience. And there's a lot of dangerous pieces of equipment. It's loud, it's noisy. People, are passionate. And so we started going there to because he was interested and we would do that. And this is an example of how you parent, because yes, he could have gone there, but he probably would have had to been much older, because people get nervous with young children and dangerous equipment. So do I. And so I went, I had some work to do, and I would just sit on the side and do my thing. But one of the obstacles that we ran into is one of the very, very competent men was also very old, and he was known for being very crusty, just like in a movie. The super crusty, knowledgeable guy was very difficult to get along with. And he would make young boys cry because he would be so harsh on them. So I gave him a little parent lecture. I says, okay, part of the reason why he's this way is he's hard of hearing. He doesn't want to admit it. That's one problem. Secondly, he's also, we happen to know that he was a relatively lonely person because he was estranged from his family for whatever family reasons he had. And he would tend to overlatch on to young children. And so I said, what you're going to do is when you ask him a question and he doesn't understand, won't ask again, is smile and wave. Basically, that's from the cartoon. Smile and wave. And when he gets loud, you just stay calm. And so I gave him some tips on how to navigate that. I could have, of course, stepped in, but then that would have destroyed his confidence to be able to doing that. So those are those little tips as a parent that you can sort of clear that way. And because you live in your community, these people. Your son who's 12 or 13 doesn't know all the family ramifications. It's too complicated, but you can give them little tips. And that's what can really open the doors. Now, I also knew that if it was too much, we could pull back from this. But I thought, what, my son, I can tell he's very physical. He's very manual. And so let's give this an opportunity. And he was able to go past a lot of these mentors that normally would have been restricted to people much older in order to be able to survive that sort of social crustiness. And it turned out great.
And think about the social skills, okay? Because one thing with this modern generation, they have no soft skills. So think about all of that you help him develop at such a young age to be able to maneuver personalities, okay? And how to have conversation, how to approach individuals who may not be happy-go-lucky, okay? How do you speak to someone who is a little ornery just because, and so that is giving him those good skills that are things that you can take out into real life and into the marketplace, because everybody's not going to be nice, And so I think it was a good idea because you didn't coddle him. You was like, okay, listen, let me just explain to you. Let me give you a little guidance. And then you let him do it. So I know that it helps him in today's world with communication, which most young people in that age bracket, they don't have. Yeah. They really do not have, because they stay on the phone and communicate with the emojis and the little things, no verbal communication, right? So great lesson. I mean, I'm speaking to you guys and I'm like, ooh, that's a good curriculum. Ooh, communication 101. I'm like, ooh, I need a baby. Wait, let me see. Come on. I need another child.
You'll get grandkids someday. You can always, pass it on.
Yeah. Oh man, yes. Because everything that I didn't know with my children, I know how to do, what to do through experience. You learn a little bit more every time you do it, right? And so I just absolutely love homeschooling for the flexibility and the way that you can become yourself. You can really give the kids an opportunity to be comfortable with themselves, to learn themselves, and be able to do something that they're passionate about at the end of the day. Because I grew up in a generation where you're either going to school or you're going to work. And you may not necessarily, if you do work, you may not necessarily do something that you want, but you have to do something to pay the bills. And so I didn't want that for my children. I wanted them to be able to have choices, and homeschooling allowed us to have those choices. And go figure, my son now is going to be a teacher assistant. And he applied for that job today. And after they talked with him, they was like, do you want to teach the class? He was like, wait, let me just go in and just get my feet wet first to see how the class goes. And then, so I'm just excited for him, because he was that child that did the work because he knew he had to do it. You know, and now he's going to be the one teach. I said, isn't this ironic? Now, really? You're going to teach? Really? So I'm like, wow. But how homeschooling really shifts the mind and stuff like that. So you mentioned how you have an e-commerce store. You started at the farmer's market with a couple of items, and then eventually you started this e-commerce store. So what is this e-commerce store? What type of things do you have with this e-commerce store?
Yeah, with that, we have the way it started was that I've always had like the super dry, cracked skin, like the fingers that would get the cuts and the splits in my heels. And so I had, at the time, I'm just raising my kids, I'm homeschooling them, I'm doing a lot of stuff from scratch. And that included not just food and meals, but skincare stuff. So I kind of stumbled onto this recipe for what's called a lotion bar. I hadn't heard of it before, but it was like mind-boggling on this. It looks like soap, but it's not. And then it just rubs into the skin. It's all natural, 3 ingredients. And so it was just this thing that worked for my skin. And I was just content that I finally found an answer for my own, use. And then fast forward a few months that we had seen this little farmer's market. They were looking for vendors, and our town was going to start one up. And that's where I saw it more as that'd be a fun, like a homeschooling opportunity for the boys. We can try. I had no background. I was kind of like, I was a public school, high school teacher in the past. So I had no experience with marketing or selling. Anyway, but it sounded fun. So we just decided to do it for fun. And then I realized how much I loved doing that. Like we just enjoyed it. My boys enjoyed it. We would be out there. We put little samples out. We explained what it was because it's something no one's ever heard of. And it just started to pick up where I enjoyed talking to people. And then it just became, well, let's just take this online. So we were able to this was 16 years ago now. So we were able to use the same product, make lip balms out of it. As I was having more kids, we made like a rash cream, just modified, figured out the ingredients to make things. And then that's just pretty much what it became. So that's what we've been doing since then. And then along the way that we would document what we were doing with the kids and how they were growing their skill sets. So we thought one of the big pieces of that was having them blog. So each of them had to have, that was part of their homeschool, they had to blog about their talents and passions. And even now, like they love going back. Sometimes it's really hard at the time. You're trying to tell your 14-year-old, did you write a blog post today? We want to know what you learned. And, they would sometimes complain about it. Now they love looking back. Like, I can't believe this, especially when you got like a 13, 14-year-old and his voice changes and he has this little high voice when he's doing this little video blog. And then, years later, he's got his little big manly voice. They love to go back and look at what they did in the past. We had them do videos. They had to showcase their progress. So that's why when we were doing that in the past, it wasn't really with a business in mind of eventually showing other parents how to do it, mostly because we didn't have the proof yet. You have to wait until you actually have a proof of success with it. So once we did see that our firstborn was able to move out, have his own income, start his business, and then son number 2, none of our kids went on to college, by the way. On son number 2, he was able to use his portfolio, his blog post, his Instagram account, mostly that, to get a job working for a knife maker. And then he's the one that eventually became a machinist. And then he wanted to go back to owning his own business. So now he's a machinist, owns his own business. And then we had twins after that. Same thing, they had blogged about it. They had YouTube videos. They showcased their stuff. One became, she's a graphic artist, but she calls herself a book art publisher. She does artwork for some books. And then the other one is our coding guy, and he's a software developer. So each one's kind of developed their own path. Thankfully, we kept that process going. Jonathan blogged about it. So we have had a lot of showcasing along the way of how we did that. And that's on our website.
Yeah, we both have college backgrounds. And so we're not unaware of what college is. And maybe that's why we're a lot more neutral. So our official stance with our kids is like, go to college if it's going to accelerate you toward your goal.
Yeah.
Right. And I think 1 or 2 were kind of toying with the idea, but they were already so far ahead of what kids were coming out of college that it was almost a moot point. So that's a really fascinating thing. So when you talk about having options, they really grow. So by the time you're leaving home, if you already have a portfolio meaning you have documented proof that you've been working on this, employers love it, partners love it. They love the grit. They love even the mistakes you make, which is really fascinating because it almost establishes you as one of them. Like I used to joke with my kids, if you lose a finger in the process, make sure you get that on video because it shows you don't give up. Now, I was joking. I don't want them to lose a finger.
I know.
But that kind of mentality, in fact, one of our boys who's a really top software developer, and we have a family friend who went the traditional route in college, and he's getting close to finishing his programming degree. And in a panic, this family friend called our son, and it's like, well, what am I doing relevant? And our son looked at it, he's like, wow, your college is way behind the times. I mean, we're on the cutting edge of all this stuff. And so it just brought home to me the fact that if you're not just in the marketplace, you're actually using real skills, real talent to pursue your passion. So in the case of the programming, he's not just doing a job, he's literally passionate about it. And so he's on the cutting edge of where things are going. And so that's what happened with our kids. A lot of times they'll look at the university, so they're well educated, and they realize they're way behind where I want to go. I'm already beyond that. Now, there are some skills where you do need a college degree for legal reasons, right? So there are some exceptions, but many, many times you can get to what you want if you start early enough because you already have the contacts, the skills, the passion. And when you go solo, a lot of times those restrictions disappear.
I agree. For me, we are so similar to, it's like ridiculous. We are so similar, like myself, college educated, very traditional with education. You know, it's this way, it's very linear, it's this way. And so for me, and come from a family background of professors and teachers. So when I decided to pull my children out of school, that was not a good situation for me.
I can imagine.
It was not a good situation. And so, especially the teachers in the family, they was like, are you being radical? What do you mean homeschooling? You know, that is not a part of the plan. I'm like, well, we changed the plan. But at the end, our eldest at the time, educator, retired and everything, and the family came to me and said, listen, I would like to apologize to you. I said, for what? My great uncle, he said, because we really got upset when you pull your children. Like you always was a top in everything that you was doing. And then you're going to pull your children out of school and the tradition of the family and you're educated, you're teaching, and you went into behavior, helping children with their behavior, all these different things. And we was like, you're wasting your children's life. We just couldn't see it. And then eventually he said, after some years, because this was a time frame of some years after he saw the children develop, saw the things that we were doing and everything like that. And this was before COVID. He said, I would like to apologize because you made the right choice. You made the right choice. Your children are very well rounded. They are respectful. They are highly educated. They are here making a positive impact in the community. They are out here thinking about other people, collecting books, giving out to the less fortunate. And I'm looking at the other children, the nieces and the great nieces and nephews. And then we're like, well, they're the only homeschoolers in the family. And look, okay. So I was like, well, thank you. I said, but it was difficult at first. And I would say this, you are so right with the skills that our children built as they was learning, because they start so young with what they're able to do. My daughter went for a job interview she wanted to be a veterinarian, and she decided that it took too long to go to veterinarian school. So she was just going to be a veterinarian tech, take her classes that she needed to take, and she's going to be done with it. Well, she did do that. She ended up going to a place to get hired to be a veterinarian tech. She came in with her portfolio, like you said, her certifications in psychology, nutrition, grooming, all these different things, right? dealing with veterinarian things that I didn't even know existed in the veterinarian world when she was doing all this studying. She taught me some things. And the lady looked at her. She was like, you did all of this. She said, you have more qualifications than me. You're better suited to go to be an administrator, leading people in this field than working, doing the sweat labor. You need to be teaching within the field. And she found herself being overqualified. So guess what she do? She started her own business.
There you go.
Qualified, and so you are so right. So I'm hearing all these things that you're saying about your children. I'm like, Jonathan, Renee, they're so right. Yeah, that happened to us. So you're right. Because they're able to grow and learn and failing forward, right? They can make the mistakes young. And while they're younger, they can fall and bounce back quicker. And they're like, oh, whatever, let me just go ahead and, do it again. But yes, so I want to get back to your e-commerce, dealing with your lotions, because with everything going on now with all of these chemicals that we have in clothing, detergents, perfumes, and knowing that you had a sensitivity because you said your skin was dry. Have you found that is the connection of what makes your business so successful, because it's really good products along with you're addressing that sensitivity need? I know we're super sensitive. We can't use all those gain and everything else because the children just can't use it, because it will literally just light their skin on fire. Bumps and everything. So did you find that was something that helped you and your family, and that's why I resonate with your audience so good with your products and services?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, what's funny is, like, for me, it was just like dry skin. Like, that was it. It was just super dry skin for whatever reason. I had it my whole life, from the time I was a teen, going barefoot all the time. And then it fixed my skin. And part of the reason that I liked it so much is that it was easy to make. So it wasn't like super complicated. Making soap is a lot more complicated than making what we make. And so, but over time, what I realized is that it was really good, even on men who are like electricians, or people who have their hands around chemicals all the time, mechanics. They get their skin in such bad shape that it was working for their skin too. So it was like super, super effective. And that was really reassuring for me too. So it's not just, me, my little dry skin issue, but all kinds of people that have really massive skin issues. And then on top of that, there were, like, even my own son, he would have seasonal eczema. So he would just get that just red rawness, and it would itch and scratch. And he used it, and we would just kind of give it to him to use whenever he had have a little mild eczema breakout. And it fixed that too. And then all of a sudden, and that was in the early years where, I kind of heard about eczema, I kind of heard about psoriasis, then realizing that this fixes other people's skin when they have skin conditions. And then you hear about people coming and saying, oh, I'm so glad I can use your product, because when I went to the dermatologist, they wanted to give me the steroid treatment, and, all of the stuff that over time, and then for us too, as I researched that more, that doesn't fix the trigger. That doesn't fix the actual problem underneath that's happening in your skin, which could be anything from the foods you eat. It can be if you're around things in your environment. It could be stress can be a trigger. Lack of sleep can be a trigger. There's so many different triggers that can set off something that's a more serious skin condition. And if you go to the dermatologist, they'll give you the steroid ointment. That will take care of it initially. But the problem is that as soon as it comes back, you're going to want to go back in for another prescription. And then if you keep repeating that, it actually makes your skin super thin over time. It's really bad for your skin and for your health. So over time, we learned that, wow, there's a lot more to this, just this one small niche of dry skin people like me. There's this other huge people who are allergic to gluten. There's a lot of products that for skincare actually have a gluten, vitamin E. Ours does not. So there's a lot of things that are left out. Same thing because we don't have water in our products. We don't have to have the preservatives, which actually cause more problems in your skin, because they're going to have all these extra things in it that are our skin triggers again. So it just over time, yeah, it opened my eyes that there's a lot more of what people are looking for when they want simplicity. They don't want all the extra ingredients. They want to know what's in their stuff. And sometimes they have to come to us because they're trying to avoid all those other ingredients.
I agree with you on that as well, because we had to learn the hard way. We didn't know what was going on. One minute we thought it was ringworm, but then when we took them to the doctor, they was like, that's not ringworm. That is eczema, because it would be patches. It would be patches. And depending upon the time of year, sometime it will be worse depending upon what part of the body, if it's inside the elbows, outside, it just depends. And you're right. Unfortunately, I didn't know anything about natural products back in the day. And so what did I do? I allowed my children to use the steroid ointments. And I did experience seeing their skin, easily bruised, being very sensitive to the sun, all different kind of things, even down to various different things that happen. And so later on, I was introduced to natural stuff that we can actually use with essential oils and all that good stuff like that. So I know what you do actually works. And it's better at the end of the day. You mentioned that your products are like so safe that some of them are edible.
Yeah. Yeah. Because not that they taste good. I want to say it's not that you want to eat them, but it's made coconut oil everybody uses. Shea butter, we had fun experimenting, trying to cook with it, but it's used as an ingredient. And then beeswax, not that people really eat it, but they still have it. They, sometimes it's coated onto fruits and stuff like that. So it's all three of those, and those are like our base ingredients for most of our products. They're actually edible, so they're safe. So if your kid gets a hold of it, if the kid acts for whatever reason decides to eat the diaper rash cream, it's not going to affect them. They'll be fine. So yeah, the ingredients are so safe that they're edible, which is another perk.
So what type of products do you have? Because I know you said something about a lotion bar, but then I just heard you say diaper rash cream. So do you have other things that we don't know about?
Yeah, and that's what developed over time, because as I'm raising kids, I started with just the lotion bar, and that was just the one thing we had. Then when we started to use that at this farmer's market, we figured out how to make lip balms out of just modifying the ratio of the ingredients. So then we made lip balms that look just like chapstick. So people call them chapstick. And then from there, at this, again, farmer's market, there were mosquitoes. And so I just researched what essential oils can you use to repel the mosquitoes. So then we made a bug block. That was the next one. And then we had the rash cream came because I was looking at the Desitin when I was changing my son's diaper one day, and I realized the active ingredient is zinc oxide. And it was like 17% zinc oxide. I'm like, well, can we do it better by actually having even more zinc oxide? I already knew it was safe. So I would just make it with a lot of zinc oxide, only that beeswax and a lot of coconut oil blended together. And it looks just like Desitin without the cod liver oil fishy scent. And it worked just as well. It worked great. So then from there, we did like a hair butter that you could just like, Jonathan's hair is perfect for that. It's just dry and coarse. So I can style his hair with it. Mine gets too greasy too easily. So the hair butter, I don't use it. But, and then you can add colorant to a lip balm to make almost like a lipstick. It's not as like pronounced, but it has like a nice tint to it. So we've got like 4 shades of a tinted lip balm. And that's pretty much, we did like a softer version of a lotion bar just because the lotion bar is great for your hands and feet. But if you have like dry arms, or you've got like elbows that are just like the alligator elbows, they call it, or the crocodile skin, then it's softer, easier to apply. That one works really well for that. And then we had like we had people that wanted soap because they wanted to replace their soap, especially people who have eczema. You've got to be careful even on the soap that you use. And when there's especially added fragrances that can trigger eczema. So I had a goat milk soap maker, and she does the soap for us, and I just get it from her. So there's just all these different kind of like, meandering around, but it's all the same base ingredients. And then we just add something, if whatever is being added to it will make a different product.
That is absolutely wonderful. So I'm loving everything that I'm hearing about the all natural products, the e-commerce, and how it actually expanded over time based upon what you needed at the time. I love it. And If you need it, everybody else need it, because we all have families, you know. But what I'm curious about, are you guys doing anything else? Is it just those products, or are you working on anything new? And if you are, can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, that's been, you know, what feeds the family. That is the business. The e-commerce is the main business. And then because we had everything pretty much kind of recorded our journey of what we're doing with the kids. A couple of years ago, we started a website that shows parents how to do that. And so we've been able to do a lot of just by talking to different parents and explaining what we do, holding workshops. We have a Parent Their Passion, which is parenttheirpassion.com is the website that we teach parents what we do. And it's a whole mentality switch. So really just getting on the email list and just starting to see how, like, hear our story and how we actually apply this and raised our kids this way is a good start. And if parents I mean, I know not everybody can homeschool, even though that makes it the easiest. It makes it really easy to do what we're doing if you're homeschooling. You would just even taking one little, you know, instead of having our kid do baseball for 4 years in a row, let's see if maybe he still wants to do baseball, but we're going to start this other thing that can merge with baseball to make it even a skill set that he can actually use when he graduates and leaves the home. So just getting parents to kind of think through those things, get on our website. And then if you subscribe to our newsletter, then you start to see, oh, okay, you look for those opportunities and those will come up. You'll see that, oh, we've got gold under my roof because we've got opportunity that we didn't even think about. Or, you know, we've got a resource, a grandpa, or like maybe your great uncle had something that he could actually let the kids borrow or learn from him. And then there's another skill set that they can learn. So just kind of teaching parents how to look for those things. We have a little course for kids, for teens to take that helps them to identify and look for the interests that they have. And then to get them to think about things they didn't even think about before. So you kind of, those little mini steps in the beginning, and then hopefully that's going to encourage people to take on even more, like, oh, I know we can really merge this with this. And then by the time they're 16, they can actually turn around and make money off of it.
Wow. And especially when you just said a course in the homeschooling community, we love books, we love courses, we love anything education. So, and when we can delegate and have our children take a class and we can take a break for a little while, you know?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yay!
Yeah.
So is there anything else you would like to share with us on today about any of your, because I want you to also say your e-commerce website.
Yeah, that is called, it's easy to remember, hardlotion.com. Super easy to remember. You get it on, if you go from there to the store, if you do, and the secret to get a free sample, and you just have to pay shipping, is if you get to the store site and just type in the search bar freebie, FREEBIE, that will take you to where you can get to our sample page. That's just the easy shortcut. Just go look at the samples that we have. And then if you've got the dry skin issues or whatever it is, the sample will at least get you to try it out and see if you like it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Get a freebie. Who don't like freebies?
Exactly.
And make sure to give them your other website as well that you just was talking about. Again, just for people.
Yeah, that's Parent Their Passions. There's 2 T's between parent and their. So parenttheirpassion.com. And as soon as you get there, you can put your email in. You'll have access right away to a little self-discovery worksheet for yourself. And if you take that and you run and you're imaginative, you can make a lot of progress. Meanwhile, you'll get emails coming out slowly over time with tons of tips and ideas. A lot of these things we've sort of crystallized and formulated. And again, this will apply to any kid because we've had so many different kids, very different.
Hello, my name is Alicia.
I am so sorry. Keep on going. You had so many different kids, had a tech problem.
Encouragement. I think what we want to do is really encourage parents that they themselves make a difference. Like they are specifically, uniquely placed in the world of their child to make a difference. So you don't have to worry, what does my PE teacher think? What does my math teacher think? They can have their own ideas, but you as a parent, you're uniquely situated to truly see the potential of your child. And so if you get excited by buy that and you see that your opportunities are very different from my family, different from your sister's family, different from your neighbor's family, you can really see the gold under your roof.
Wow, I love that statement. See the gold up under your roof. Like, it's so many opportunities that we can miss when we don't have the right guidance, or I would say the right knowledge, and then the right knowledge can guide you. Because just in this conversation that we have had today, I had so many different ideas, like, oh, and I just love building out curriculum myself. Like, it just really excites me. So now I just use my skill to help other parents if I see that they're having, stresses. I'm like, oh, let me do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love it. Thank you guys for coming on, being a featured guest on our show, sharing all the things that you have done with your you still have 3 at home, but 9 children total, and how you was able to allow them to do their passion, find themselves, and also seeing the end result, how your older children, now young adults, how they are thriving for individuals who may feel like, oh, I just can't, I don't think I should, I can't do that. And then they hear and they see what you have done. And it's like, okay, well then I can do it. I can trust the process and let them go through this process, because you will have better, well-rounded children. I have noticed the difference, less stress, all these different things, because they're not locked into something that they don't want to do in order just to survive. And when I look at my children, I'm just like, wow. Now, some of those moments when they were smaller, I was like, I don't know. But now at the end result, I'm like, wow, to have all that and be able to be so articulate, being so young, it was skills that I developed later on in life, Yeah. And so seeing them having it so young. So I'm hearing the same thing with you guys. So kudos to you. So happy with everything that you're doing. And thank you for giving our audience to let them know about that freebie, and also how they can get that course for the homeschoolers, who I am going to have to just share this video with them. Like, you want to watch this video? Like really, these are homeschoolers from our community. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much, and showing us how you can literally build 6 figures from your home. Yeah. You can literally do that with something where you solve the problem. Basically, you solve your problem, you end up solving other people's problem, and now it helps you make an income, which is absolutely amazing. Okay, so if you have anything else you want to share, like you want them to follow you on social media or anything like that?
Actually, the easy way for that, for Parent Their Passion, we're on Instagram and Facebook, Parent Their Passion. And for Hard Lotion, same thing, Hard Lotion on Instagram and Facebook.
Well, again, thank you guys for being on our show. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know that you guys did too. Yes, this has been the amazing dynamite. Yes, the dynamic duo, Jonathan and Renee Harris. They actually shared their life from passion to profit. And this couple built a 6-figure skincare brand while raising 9 entrepreneurial kids. 6 of them are adults now, 3 still home, but get the inspiration. You can homeschool and you can run a successful business. You want to learn more? Make sure to check them out at their website so that you can stay connected and learn additional information that we were not able to discuss on today's show. Also, for those of you who want to watch more episodes like this and so much more, go ahead and scan this QR code if you're watching us right now from YouTube TV or wherever you're viewing this from right now. Scan so that you can watch our TV show. We are across all these platforms: Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. We also have a web app, Android, and so much more. So make sure to go download it. It's absolutely free. And we have a plethora of information that you can totally benefit from. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Talk to you later. Bye. Have you heard about Book Authority's best new podcasting book winner, which is Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, for her book, The Power of Podcasting, Unlocking Tips and Strategies for Podcasting Success. This book is your podcasting coach in a book. She is sharing so many strategies. This book reached number 1 twice on Amazon for new release and best-selling book. So go ahead to ctrmedianetwork.com to purchase your copy today, or simply place your order on amazon.com today and unleash the power of podcasting. CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.